Well, welcome to the, unfortunately, final coaches show of the year. You know, I say that football seasons are a lot like vacations, right? When you're in the middle of them, you're loving it, and the bad thing about them is they come to an end.
They do.
And I guess at the end of the year, there's only ever one team and one group of players and coaches and fans that are celebrating, and everybody else is sad. Just sometimes some end a little sooner than others, but unless you're the champion, everybody's ends a little too soon, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think we played the one that's going to be celebrating at the end of the year.
They have a few times.
Yes, that was in 21 years of coaching, that's probably that's, in my opinion, that's the best team that I played against.
Yeah.
And so they were a phenomenal football team in Duncanville, and so just all the way across the board.
Defending state champs, they've been in the state championship game, I think, 4 of the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Highly likely they're going to be there again this year. And it's just kind of an unfortunate draw that the way our region is set, and our district happens to go there. Shoot, before that one, we had to go play Westlake.
Yeah.
So kind of pick your poison. But it's just we're just in the wrong place. They need to move us to West Texas or far South Texas or something like that. But no, it's obviously it was going to be a big challenge going in. I mean, everybody that's familiar with Texas high school football knows what Duncanville is like, what they bring to the table, and certainly you guys got a dose of it. But at the end of the day, end of the night, kids can walk off saying, we played a football game against not only what might end up being the best team in the state, one of the best teams in the country. They played football against some guys they're probably going to see playing certainly on Saturdays, if not on Sundays, on down the road.
Oh, absolutely. I looked up, and I mean, Duncanville's ranked number 15 in the nation, going into that game. And so they're, obviously they're coming in 9-1. The only team they had lost to was DeSoto, who's in their district. And so, extremely talented team. I thought that, going in, I figured we would be able to move the ball a little bit better than what we did. Just those, their offense and defensive line, they dominated the game from the get-go. Just the speed that they brought off the edge, the type of rush that they did, to really contain, Will and to be able to, limit his ability to play make outside the pocket. Because, as we went back and we watched film, we had things that were coming open. It's just the pocket broke down and, wasn't able to extend the play long enough for those things to come open. And just made it tough, put us behind the chains to start off with, and, made it as, third and long situations, and then went two-man. Showed some different things that they hadn't showed on film, and that was, for us, that was, something coming away from it, is that, all throughout the season, it was that, they had showed that they were going to be a 4-3 cover 4 team, and that's just what they did. And, coming into that game, they showed a little three-man, they showed a little stem with their defensive line, they showed some two-man on third and long, and they showed some things that they hadn't done, defensively. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they showed empty, they showed tempo, they showed some things offensively that they hadn't shown all throughout the year, which, kind of is a compliment to your program, knowing that, you kind of think
had
that
to make some changes to prepare for you.
Yeah, that they're going to make some changes, for your program, and, they're making some changes for the playoffs and to make their run. And so not good for us, but, it's kind of a compliment for our team.
Well, and I think you have to consider, I mean, obviously the talent factor and I mean, bottom line, you just ran into a team that's better, and sometimes that happens, but they've been there. They've been there many times. It's routine for them. They don't go into the playoffs wide-eyed, and I'm not saying your guys did, but there's got to be something to be said about you have that experience, you have that playoff experience, you know what it's like, and for your guys, some of these guys, this was their first time.
Yeah, it was. And it was, for, when you look at it, for a lot of our guys, it was their first time.
Yeah.
With the exception of a handful of our starters, I was going through yesterday, and we're getting ready for the letter jacket, packets that are going to be going out on, probably right after Thanksgiving. And I mean, there was a lot of highlighter marks for guys this is their, first year on varsity, throughout our team.
Right.
And so, those guys weren't on they weren't out there for the Westlake,
Right.
games, and so, that's, with the exception of, I think Alex was on that team, and
Will,
Honeycutt was very limited playing time, and that may be it. As far as Darian was on the team, very limited carries on that team, and so as far as Carson I think was up, but I mean it was very very limited playing time for those guys, with the exception of Will. Being a part of that, so for you talking about 90% of your team, they hadn't really experienced, kind of what the playoffs were like, and then
here's your first one.
Here's
Duncanville.
Here's a returning state champion, and get you some of that. But I was extremely proud of our kids. I thought they approached it the right way.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the outcome that we wanted. But the week they approached it the right way. They approached the game the right way. I didn't feel that they walked into the game timid. I didn't feel that they, were scared in any way, and were just kind of tiptoed into the game. I thought that they went out there and, they shot their shot, and we just didn't have enough bullets in the gun.
Yeah, or just not enough powerful bullets for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and watching the game, I mean, they played hard and never quit.
No, they didn't, and that's I'm extremely proud of them, and hats off to Duncanville. They as far as talented as they were, and some things that you may see on the internet or Twitter or whatever else, that was one of the classiest teams that I've ever seen, especially on on a lopsided game.
Yeah.
There wasn't trash talking, there wasn't taunting, there wasn't anything else. It was just It was a one-sided game, and they took it to us. But our kids lined up and they said, "Man, coach, we want to play for 48 minutes, and we want to get after it, and we want to make sure we walk off the field knowing that we left it all out there." And that was kind of their message at halftime to me, that they want to make sure that they left it all out on the field, and the same thing with the seniors. Wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to give everything they had.
Saw some pictures on Twitter after the game, and the guys, a lot of times I think after your season's done and you're for a lot of those kids, their football career is done, but saw a lot of pictures of just teammates with arms around each other, taking pictures, kind of getting that last photo. And, I think it speaks a lot, and we've talked about it all year, the chemistry of this team and the relationships that these guys had. And while they lost in their season, and for some of them their playing career is done, I think they were enjoying that one last time together.
Oh, they were. And that was we kind of bring them up, and we have the the school song, and we talk to them real quick, and then obviously we tell them we love them, and I mean then they embrace each other, and they're hugging each other, and then finally I was like, all right guys, hey, y'all gotta go see your parents. They want to see you too.
Yeah.
But I mean they were hugging their coaches and each other, and it's just that very appreciative. It's an emotional moment.
It is.
Some of the kids that for us as coaches, it's an up and down thing. There's kids and that you may have not saw eye to eye with, the entire time that you've been here. For a lot of our coaching staff,
Right.
Some of it's been 2 or 3 years. For guys like Molds have been here 11 years. They've been here for a long time, and just being here for those guys and seeing the growth and the changes that have occurred. It's been amazing, for us as coaches, and some guys that, may have not have been in the program when we first got here that are in it now.
Sure.
and seeing, how much they've changed and they've grown. It's, that was an emotional time for me.
Well, you had another emotional
Yeah.
part of that too, and we've talked about it all through this whole year, but your son being a senior, you had that moment also, and talk a bit about that. How was that from the coach? You've got a whole team of guys, but then you got a son too, that you've got to have that dad-son moment.
No, that was that's probably when the emotion finally hit.
Mm-hmm.
It I guess probably one of the last ones that I hugged was probably Chris Smith, who actually didn't get to play. He had a high ankle sprain, which I hated it for him.
Yeah.
He got that in the Weiss game. And he was emotional. He was a guy that wasn't in the program when we got here. And I love Chris. He's just one of those guys that's got one of those electric personalities that if you ever get to know him, he's just so much fun to be around.
Yeah.
I could tell hours of stories about Chris. But he got me a little emotional. And then, finally, after I hugged, I think, every senior, got to get over there to Tristan and talk with him. And, I think that's when it sunk in that, we had finally walked out there together for the last time.
Yeah.
And it was emotional, that we had finally taken the field together for the last time, and it was a good ride. But that was kind of reflecting on it over the weekend. It was kind of some things that we sat down and we talked about. That was one of the big reasons why we looked at coming to Hutto.
Yeah.
Is the opportunity for. Obviously me to be a head coach and to be the head coach for him, his last 2 years of high school. That was something that really intrigued us. And, for me to be here for him and
Sure.
in that capacity, was something that, he really wanted, to be happy. Because again, we had a great job at Buda Johnson.
Sure.
and loved it there. But that was something that he really wanted. And so, it was emotional, and I'm excited. We're excited that we were able to do that and do that here.
Well, and it's one of those things that you'll never forget. Ryan's last game was 10 years ago, and every year it pops up on Facebook, and there's a picture somebody took of us, middle of the field, just embraced, just hugging, and there's a lot that you can't see, behind that picture, a lot of tears and a lot of words being spoken, and I will never ever forget just that emotion and that feeling. But I remember, he's crying because these kids, they work for years and years, and they put so much into it, and then it's over. And I remember telling him, I was like, buddy, right now you feel like it's all ending, and I promise you it's all just beginning.
Right.
You're starting the next chapter of your life, and as dads and certainly coach and all that, you walk away very proud of them for what they did and how hard they worked, and knowing that football has been a thing that has helped create who they are. It doesn't define who they are, but it's helped create who they are, and it's going to help them in life when they go through tough times, when they go through good times, when they have to work hard, all those things. So, it's a big part of their life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, when you're out there and you're embracing the kids and everything else, them thanking you for, maybe some things that you didn't know if they got or not.
Yeah.
Thanks, coach, for pushing me through the tough times and that type of stuff. And I think that's the things that, eventually kids get, is that, they were listening, even though you don't know if they were or not, they hear you in those, in what that message that you're trying to get across. And this group of seniors, they embrace that family aspect. And I think that was the thing that, really kind of sunk in that last week that we were together, is that the family atmosphere was big, all that whole week. I mean, we had a great week together of just kind of hanging out and being together, and it was awesome. I will say that this last week that we got to spend together and bond and be together as a team was really fun.
And at the end of the day, you don't coach football because you just want to win games on Friday nights. You coach football because you there's something in you that wants to help shape and mold young men for life and for how they're going to influence and impact society and the legacies they're going to leave there. And, I think all of you guys as coaches, when the season's over, that's when you can step back and look at each individual player and go, here's something he learned. Here's something he learned. Here's how he's going to grow and be a leader and be a great father and a husband and those things. And so, your immediate reward is not always seen, or your reward is not always immediate, I guess. But on down the line, when you see guys being productive citizens and great dads and great husbands and all those things, leaders in their communities, that's when you played a part of that.
Oh yeah, that's probably the most rewarding thing as a coach is when you start getting the 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you start getting the Father's Day text,
Yeah.
Just thanks coach for everything that you did, and those type of things. And you're not gonna get them from every single kid,
Sure, sure.
but you get them from random kids or just a random text. I think it was 2-3 weeks ago. It was a kid that I coached 5 years ago sent me a Sunday night text. Hey coach, I know you're cooking steaks, and it was just
That's great.
just a thank you for everything you
Yeah.
did for me. I'm getting ready to graduate, and just those type of things are, they are gratifying. It
Yeah.
lets you know that you did have an impact in some kid's life, and that you're in it for the right reasons.
Well, let's reflect just a little bit about the season. We won't obviously not game by game or any of that, but just some takeaways. I mean, you have to look back on this season and look at this offense that you had and what a prolific offense it was, and with the playmakers you had with Will and Alex and the others, and certainly a great offensive coordinator in Coach Leonard, and talk a little bit about that and the memories you'll have from this season from that respect.
So went through this past couple days, and so statistically, this is pretty close. If we would have played the same number of games, I guess, as the 2017-2018, it would have broken every record that Hutto would have had.
That's crazy.
So Will broke the total yards record, 5,004 yards. Alex broke the single season, obviously single season receiving record with 2,056.
And a top 10 in the state of Texas.
Yes, top 10 in the state of Texas all time at number 8, 2,056. He's in there as well with the receptions for the season with 101. He set the single season touchdown with 19. We set the single season yards per game for Hutto at 532, I think, or no, somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like that.
For there. For a lot of those records, I mean, that was awesome. Those are, love to have more wins than what we did, but for the individual records, and then also Alex set I think he's number 3 or 4 on the single game yards in a game at 365, and then Will's number 3 or 4 for yards in a single game at 719.
In the state.
Yes, in the state.
Yeah.
For that Liberty Hill game, obviously set the Hutto record for that one.
Of course.
So we're Jody's going to work on all those leaderboards things that we got in our locker room or in our weight room actually. We got a new goal board that we bought this summer, so she's updating all those things, and so we're getting all those.
The bar has been set pretty high for some future guys.
Oh man, you got to be number 7 in the state and lead a nation and for receiving yards to
have the school record.
To have the school record, and so that type of stuff is amazing, and it's obviously those are individual records, but it's also amazing because it was a team effort in the aspect of it. The offensive line had to block, Will had to throw it. All those type of things for everybody to be able to do that. Will leading the nation in total yards for most of the year. And I expect some awards, some all-state awards and recognitions for both of those guys. I'll be throwing a fit if not.
Yeah.
But and then we were very well represented in our all district.
I actually had that list. I was going to run down that. Put my glasses on real quick, but you had. Tell me if I'm missing anybody, but of course you had Will as the district MVP, Alex offensive MVP. Which those guys, by being MVPs, are automatically first team all district, right?
Yep.
You had Keelan was the offensive newcomer.
Yes.
On the team. Then Preston, Honeycutt, Tristan were both first team all district. Brayton Anderson, Caleb Hobson, Matthew Madrano, Braxton Phelps, and Stephen Galindo. Oh, and Braden Daniel. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Gabe Sordo. All second team district. And then honorable mention, Philip Obiesi, Carson LaPlante, Chris Smith, Juan Rodriguez. Those were all honorable mention. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a lot of kids that are getting noticed.
Absolutely.
And then we should probably always say this first, right? The academic all-district team was Will, Richard Ridings, who's also a National Merit
Scholar.
kid, Alex, Carson LaPlante, Tristan Compton, Gabe Vega, and Briggs Bueno. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not just a lot of outstanding kids on the field, but in the classroom.
Oh, absolutely. And that's tribute to those guys. They did a fantastic job. And then coming up probably 1st of December, we'll have our Texas High School Coaches Association All-State,
Right.
Academic All-State.
Yeah.
We just inputted those, which we have 2 guys that are up for that we'll be putting in for, which you have to have over a 92 cumulative average to be able to put in for that. And so, excited to see kind of where those are at. And then obviously you have your all-state, football, nominations and those type of things that are voted by, sports writers and everything else. And so we'll kind of see where we fit in with that. But no, it was a great, representation of Hutto. And, it's just, we ended up with the number 1 offense in the district again.
Mm-hmm.
So back to back, and that's a great tribute to the offensive staff, led by Coach Leonard. He does a fantastic job of, preparing those guys, and as well as the entire offensive staff, and, just extremely proud of those guys. Hopefully we can keep them around.
Yeah, no kidding. Other reflections on the season. Talk a little bit about just in your second year now, really your first full year, because we talked last year about how late you came in. But just continuing to establish the culture.
No, I think that, we talk about that a lot. It's, culture is like one of those buzzwords. Mm-hmm. And, I love where we're at right now. I think our expectations are established. And, our kids are, right now we're talking about all in. And, and our kids are bought in, to the way that we do things. Family is a big word that we talk about. And it's not just something that, we kind of throw around. It's something that we truly believe in. And I think it showed kind of there Friday night right after the game. And, it wasn't a selfish moment after the game, even after, it not going the way we wanted to. Kids are, truly, they truly cared about each other, and it showed, it showed in the last part of the game when we had, some guys who maybe hadn't played a whole lot, and you have the whole team on the sidelines cheering for those guys that, hadn't played a whole lot that got in there. And, to me, that's what your program's about, and being there for each other. And, our last, family dinner, as we call it, on Thursday night, and 99% of the team showing up for that. And those are the things that that are big in your program. And I think that our program's heading in the right direction. Our kids are for the most part, we're not having discipline issues.
Right.
We have. Do we get personal fouls every once in a while? Yes. Do we reel that stuff back in?
That's football.
Yes. Do emotions fly high in the first game of the year? Absolutely. Is it reeled back in by the second game? Absolutely. And we handle those things.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. And I think that we do a great job with our leadership council. I think our coaches do a great job. Inside of our program, talking with their side of the ball, as far as with their leaders on their side of the ball, and making sure that our program handles itself the right way. Mm-hmm. And I think that showed throughout the year in various games, that through various situations, our kids know how to handle themselves in, adverse situations.
You mentioned the Leadership Council, and we've talked about that a lot too, and I know a lot of the guys that we have on the show throughout the year are part of that Leadership Council. Where, at what point do you establish your Leadership Council for next year? I know obviously you have some guys that are underclassmen that'll just move up, but then how do you bring new guys into that?
So it works in 2 phases. So the first phase is that right now, so we have one guy from our Leadership Council that returns. And so that's always by design. So right now, Brayton Anderson, Agent Zero, is our one returner. And so we always have an underclassman returner, because that's how he kind of sets the tone of how it's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. So in the previous year, it was Will. Will was the one underclassman that was the returner, so he was able to kind of help guide those under guys. So from now till kind of Christmas, through this next 3-4 weeks of off season, I'll kind of watch to see who kind of emerges as leaders. Okay. Through this off-season boot camp phase, you'll see kind of who emerges as leaders, and then after Christmas, I'll select 5 other guys to make a spring leadership council. Okay. And I'll work with those guys. That's when we'll do our book study.
And those are juniors that will be seniors next year.
Yep. And we'll probably have one underclassman in that one as well. So that'll be one sophomore. And then as we go into the fall, that's when we'll get our coaching staff. So then we'll judge it through spring football and summer, our coaching staff will select it for the football season. So even though you're on the spring one, you may not be on the fall one.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of a two-phase thing, because that spring one, or that one that goes through the spring, that's just an identification one there.
Yeah.
Now we want to see kind of who emerges, because maybe you weren't selected in that first part, but maybe you continue to grow as a leader and you kind of start emerging or separating yourself, becoming more vocal and things like that. A guy like Stephen Galindo wasn't on the spring one, but became on the fall one because he continued to grow as a leader.
Right.
And so, great example of a guy that, continued to grow as a leader and became on the fall leadership council.
Well, it's probably a great reminder to those guys too, that you and your coaches, you're always watching.
Yeah.
Right. You're always watching. You're watching them in the weight room. You're watching them, but it's not just what they're doing in there, right? I mean, I'm watching what you're doing in the classroom. I'm talking to teachers. I'm watching how you conduct yourself when you're in the hallway or even when you're out in the community doing things. So it's kind of all encompassing, right?
Absolutely. And we're watching, we really like to watch, who's showing up in the summer. That was one of the reasons that, Brayton was on there. He didn't miss any of the summer workouts. So we're like, man, that's the dude who's committed. I mean, he's leading by example. And, he's one. I love BA. He's one. He is a passionate guy. We have to reel it back in every once in a while, because he is. You talk about a guy that's all in. I mean, he is. And so, but he's one that he's all in at all times. And so, love him. But he was all in this summer, and so he earned his way onto that council.
Is there a time after that last game, and maybe it hasn't even happened yet, when guys like Will and Alex and some of these seniors who are going to be leaving their legacy, where they have an opportunity to kind of address the guys that are coming back next year and kind of give their rah-rah and their challenge to those guys?
So we kind of do it a little bit different. We do it kind of in our last home game. They have their opportunity to kind of stand up in front of the team and talk to them about, their legacy and things that they like most about the program, things that they want to be remembered for, and things that they need to kind of pass on forward. Kind of this phase, we'll do a little bit of exit interviews with the guys and kind of go from there. And then, from here forward, now it's really about the next wave of guys really starting to emerge as, those leaders. And we'll bring in those guys, some of those guys that have been leaders for us, from this previous team. They'll kind of come through and they'll kind of poke their heads in and kind of push them in as leaders and things like that. But, the big kind of rah-rah talk about y'all need to do this and that. I've done it before, and sometimes it just kind of falls on deaf ears and they're kind of ready to move forward. And then sometimes, kids aren't as receptive to it. They're like, and we've listened to you for the last 3 years. It's time for us to
move on.
It's time for us to, and I totally get it, because now it's time for, they've heard what that group's had to say, for the 10 to 12 to 15 games. They're ready to make their mark as the leader. And, and a lot of them, nowadays, they're all on text message groups together anyway. And, hey, Alex, hey, I need you to reach out to Brayton. I need you to, do this. And that's how, for us, that's how the biggest communications go. And I need you to reach out to this kid and this kid.
Just encouraging those guys to, peer pressure in a positive way.
Absolutely. Hey, I need you to reach out to him to do this. Or Honeycutt, I need you to reach out to Grayson, and I need you to tell him to step up his leadership in the weight room. And for us, that's more effective than to stand up in front of the whole group and give your speech.
Yeah.
And because then it turns into like a 20-minute soapbox that kind of rambles.
And guys are thinking about all different things. They're not really tuned in.
And then it goes like way left over here, and so you kind of get off of it. So for us, I mean, it kind of more one-on-one type of situations, and then we have our private one that we have kind of that last home game.
So, kind of say this every year, and I guess it's really true. Next year really starts the day after this year ends, right? I know you get a couple of days off and all that, but really, football season's over. These guys that are strictly football players that aren't moving into basketball or other sports, it's like, start working right now to get ready for next year, right?
Yep. We put up the pads Monday and Tuesday. We started maxing out on Wednesday, Thursday. Tomorrow we'll go through kind of a mock boot camp day, and then after Thanksgiving we'll be rolling.
So just kind of a way in advance preview. You have to replace probably the best quarterback that's ever come through Hutto, and there's been a lot of good ones. You got to replace that guy. You got to replace maybe one of the top receivers that has ever come through Hutto. Where does that start? And I mean, I know you've got some good quarterbacks kind of in the system, but when does that competition start?
Oh man, I don't want to think about it. No, no, it's no. I mean, it starts right now. You know, those guys have got to start, stepping up and separating themselves. You know, obviously we have Caden Stefik. That's going to be in the mix. Like Hunter Fournette is, our freshman quarterback. I thought he did a great year.
I saw him play a couple of times.
Dude, that's my dude, man.
Yeah.
I love him. Levi was a freshman this year, so I called the freshman offense. We have the highest paid freshman staff in the nation.
That's all right.
No, it was awesome coaching the freshmen this year. Me and Coach Holmes.
Well, it's a great way to get an advanced look at some of your future.
Oh, it was fun. Me and Coach Holmes had a blast down there, and have him. We have Gabriel Medina did our JV. He was a scrappy guy this year. Brayton Anderson played quarterback as a freshman. So we have some guys that are going to be able to do some things. We'll look different. You just don't, pick a guy to your program and replace a Will Hammond.
Of course.
You don't pick a guy just to replace, Alex Green.
Right.
We got a couple guys that, like BA that are going to have to, be able to step up. Trey Fields kind of came up those last couple games, did a really good job on JV, and I thought that was, I've mentioned it to our coaches several times. The best thing for him was actually playing JV this year because he didn't sit on the bench. A lot of times kids don't understand that. They're like, man, I had to play JV, but
you're playing.
Because we only carried 5 receivers, 6 receivers the entire year. But there just wasn't. Those guys were the ones that played.
Right.
And whereas now you're getting playing time down there, and you'll be able to come up. And so, we're gonna look up a little bit different. So you got BA. Obviously, we got Keelan coming back, who's got 2 Power 5 offers as a sophomore to Tech and to U of H. Yeah, he had 1,300 all-purpose yards. Be able to do some things with him in and out of the backfield. So we have some guys that are going to be able to do some things for us, and Littles from our JV was able to do some things. Trey's little brother, Jaden Fields, was a really good freshman player for us, and so we got some guys here and there, and then we got. It's open competition. Got some guys that are just gonna have to surprise us and step up in the spring, and make their case for starting positions.
And you're still entertaining, obviously, recruiters coming in and talking about. And I saw you posted something the other day, and I love how you guys really promote your guys. I saw your spreadsheet of like, hey, here are our dudes. Come get these guys. These guys are ready, and you're very upfront. Hey, here's their grade point average. Here's their test scores. Here's their class rank. Here's how fast they run. Here's how high they jump. All those things, all the measurable stuff, and it's like. Come get them. We got hippos that are ready to play.
No, and Coach Albert takes the lead on most of that stuff. He does a phenomenal job, and he takes a lot of pride in it. And so that's something that he takes a lot of pride in. He's already set up 2 visits with the College Career Center. He texted me this morning. He's like, man, I got it locked in. College Career Center is going to come down and meet with our seniors on this date, and then during our finals week, he's set up for the College Career Center to come meet with the juniors to set up their ACT, SAT dates and to let them know what they need to do and when their FAFSA dates are and everything else. And so, big shout out to Coach Albert and setting that up because, a lot of schools don't take time to do that, and it's a big thing. And recruiting right now is horrible, and I had a conversation with a parent yesterday is that recruiting is not fun, and then, we talk about Alex Green and all the accolades that he's getting, and it took him 2,000 yards before
started getting some offers.
Before he started getting some traction and some committable offers. And then he kind of blew up, over the past couple weeks.
As we knew would happen.
And I could tell him, 5-6 weeks ago that he was, what he could do. But it is what it is, and I'm just God has a plan for him, and I'm excited for him, and going from there. But no, the recruiting aspect is gonna be good. It'll pick up after Thanksgiving. It'll pick up until right before Christmas break, and then it'll kind of be dead, and then it'll pick back up again right after Christmas, up until right before signing date. And then they kind of right before at the end of January, the smaller schools will start coming through. Once the D1s are done picking through who they want.
So just a reminder. Obviously, Will going to Tech, and in fact, he's graduating early and going to head out there. He'll be out there in January. Alex now has started. I guess he finally got the big one, Northwestern, a Big Ten school. But who else has he started getting some interest from?
He's got a bunch of them set up now.
Yeah, just all of a sudden.
He's gone. So he's got Northwestern, Ball State, Toledo, Washington State, New Mexico State, Tulane.
That's right. I just saw the Tulane one.
Yeah, I think those are the ones that he's got. I think he's got visits set up to those from now till Christmas.
So those two guys we know will be playing somewhere next year. Honeycutt, I know, preferred walk-on at UTSA, and he'll probably end up with some other opportunities too if he decides to go a route instead of a preferred walk-on. Who else? You feel like maybe has a chance to?
I think Tristan's leaning towards going probably Rio Grande Valley, the new program down there. Either that or UIW.
Mama would probably like UIW, right? Because that's close.
Actually, she really doesn't care.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's dead set kind of on the Rio Grande Valley, so he's trying to get all that set up, and so he's been accepted to both. So he's excited about that one. But I'm gonna give the one. But he's probably leaning towards that one. Colin Wilson has a Division III, I think Culver.
Okay.
I think it's in Kansas. I think it's where that one's at. Anthony Maynard has a Division III in Kansas, I believe. Can't remember the name off the head. Over there, I expect the junior colleges to come in pretty hard on a couple guys. Actually, on Friday, whenever we were getting ready to go to Duncanville, Tyler Junior College was here. Checking out some guys, and those are the guys I think that have our offers right now.
And in today's college climate with transfer portal and all that, junior college, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
get yourself a good JUCO place, play a year or two, and then transfer.
Yeah, it's just we've talked about it before. Recruiting is
it's insane.
Is tough right now. It's just when getting somewhere. I think that's the big thing. And we have some great kids that I believe will be able to play somewhere. I think Carson LaPlante's going to be able to play somewhere. I think he's in that the NAIA Division III, possibly Division II range. As a kind of a crafty slot receiver. Definitely has the grades to be able to play at the next level. I think Philip Obisi, with his size, he's still raw. But somebody will take a chance on him. Chris Smith with his size, definitely think in that JUCO range they were really excited about him. So I think we're going to have some guys that have some opportunities. Hop, I forgot about Hop, has McMurray is offered for him to come down and play. If he wants to take that opportunity, and so I think we got some guys that definitely going to hopefully have a big group at signing day.
And I think it says a lot about the program, right? It says something about Hutto is one of those places that college recruiters, they want to stop, and because they know there's dudes at Hutto, they know there's great coaches at Hutto that have helped build these guys, so they know they're going to get good character guys. Because it's not just are you a good player, it's character and grades and all those other things too. So, Hutto, it wasn't all that long ago that Hutto wasn't on the recruiters' map. It was they kind of had to go out of their way. Now it is a destination that recruiters are making a point to come and check out the Hutto kids.
Oh yeah, I think Coach Albert posted a thing yesterday that he's had over 60 recruiters already reach out at different levels. And so, like I said, he does a fantastic job he's got spreadsheets sent out and he constantly reaches out. So, big shout out to him. He's definitely making sure that our kids are out there, and he's sending out emails and making sure that coaches are checking them out.
Final thing, in high school, Texas high school football, you can never get comfortable where you are. February is the next go-round of realignment. They do this every 2 years. Obviously, we know we'll be a 6A school, at least, for a number of years. It was like we didn't know, are we going to be 4A, are we going to be 5A, and we finally got to 6A. So we know we're going to be 6A until we build and open up the second high school. What you don't ever know is where are you going to be, right? And do you have I've told people, UIL is so tight-lipped on that. People can guess and try to figure out where they're going to be, and then they'll surprise you and put you somewhere that you don't expect. But in your gut and your heart and your mind, you see us staying where we are, or do you think there could be some movement?
On one that I've seen, because we get all kinds of projections.
Sure.
We paid a couple different sites that have like ranking systems and stuff like that. And so the one that I got most recently had obviously Weiss is going down.
Right.
They're going down to 5A. It had Manor, us, Cove, Temple, Killeen Shoemaker, Lake Belton.
Oh.
Took out Bryan and sent them over to Klein.
Right.
And so basically take out Bryan, take out Weiss, add Manor and us, and then Shoemakers.
And then, so really kind of more than headed up north.
Yeah, took Midway up to back into that Duncanville, DeSoto, where they've been before.
Yikes.
Because they're the most northern one.
Right.
So from just basically us to Manor to Cove, straight up 130.
And do you think they would keep us in the same region where our first
No.
stop would be with Duncanville and DeSoto again?
No, it had us in Region 4.
Okay.
And so still sent us south. And so
Okay.
we would be, first round would be Round Rock.
Okay. That's all right.
And so, I mean, it's going to be that, which I definitely could see that. It's going to be that one, or we're going to be in the Round Rock district.
Round Rock, yeah.
In a 9-team district.
If you had your choice, if you could say this is what Will Compton wants for the Hippos, what would you choose?
3A Division 2.
I think we could dominate that.
I think we could dominate some 3A, you know. I mean, let's get in there with, can we get in there with Taylor?
That's awesome. That's great.
No, I really wouldn't mind that. I think, getting in there with like Cove and Cleans and those, I think that would be okay. I wouldn't mind being in there with. I like the proximity of
the Round Rock
schools, the travel cut down. But I don't mind. I think, with us in that, the Temple, the Cleans, and those type of things, I didn't mind our district. I thought it was a very leveled off district.
Yeah.
I thought all the games were right there together, as far as talent level and what everybody brought to the table.
Oh, yeah, very competitive.
I thought from that aspect of it, I just didn't like – the only thing I didn't like about our district was where you had to go first round.
Exactly.
I think if you had that same district and your first round was to come play the Round Rocks and those type of things, I think then that's a great setup. I think we compete very well in all sports with that district.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say this, but lest anybody think that Hutto was the only one that kind of took it on the chin in that first round.
No.
Every team in our district, I think the combined score of their 4 teams versus ours was like 190 something to 30 something.
195 to 36.
Yeah, and Midway almost got a win, but the Weiss score shocked the heck out of me.
They
in
lined
their
up,
game.
Yeah, 62-0. They lined up in 12 personnel. They lined up with seven offensive linemen and just smashed.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah. So I think that district 11 is just a buzzsaw. You just want to avoid that. So and I tend to agree with you too. I mean, if we end up in the district and we're going up that Killeen route, at least that drive, you're still driving, hour and a half, but I'd rather go north than go down south and through Austin and all of that mess.
I mean, because you talk about, because if you put you in the Round Rock district, most likely they're going to add Vandergrift into it. You're going to spend 45 to an hour going to Vandergrift
just to get over there. Yeah,
the same as you're going to spend 45 to get to Cove.
Of course, and then part of that then becomes when they do realignment, and it's in February, right?
Yeah,
and then instantly you guys as coaches, you're on the phone, and I know you've started this well ahead of time of reaching out to schools as potential non-district games, but when does that start? And there could be some teams, I guess, like the last few years we've had Liberty Hill has kind of been a standing team, but not anymore. Yeah, done with Liberty Hill.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to be fair, does it really do us any good to play a team like that, right? Because you're you're seeing that offense that you're not going to see from anybody else.
No, I love Liberty Hill. I love Coach Walker. He's a good dude. We text a lot and everything else. I actually go hunting with his cousin.
Yeah.
No. We've already I've got 4 games on the board already for next year. Only one of them that we played this year. And
Okay.
so, but it's kind of contingent on who we get put in district with,
Right.
and how many teams are in our district. Are we in a are we in a 9-team district? Are we in an 8-team district? And those type
how
of
many
things.
games you would actually have.
Yeah.
And
I've planned right now. I've got on the board for four pre-district games. I don't think we're going to get put into that type of situation. I'm thinking we're going to be in an 8-team or a 9-team district, and so then you just call in and say, Coach, we got put in that, and so scratch that off.
Well, and I guess and the other thing you kind of have to look at as soon as it's realigned is, okay, this team that we thought we wanted to play in a non-district game, we could end up having to play them in the very first round of playoffs,
Yeah.
and so you don't necessarily want that, right?
Yeah, that's only with one of ours.
Okay.
And so, which I wouldn't mind. We'd have to recap with it, but it would be what it is.
Yeah.
And so, we'd make it work.
Well, again, that's February, so stay tuned because in February you start finding out what does next year look like, and then even though you're already preparing for next year, you don't know really what you're preparing for.
Yep.
So, but Coach, a fun year, and I know it never, like I said, it's like a vacation, right? You enjoy it when you're in the middle of it, and then it ends, and you got to get back to work, and so that's kind of what happened here. The season ended, but a lot of positives this year. And I think ultimately, beyond the football field, a lot of great kids that are leaving Hippo Nation. They're going to go represent Hutto, whatever they do, whether they're playing football somewhere else, whether they're going into the military, or whether they're going into a career, or if they're going into college. We know ultimately, we have this saying, once a Hippo, always a Hippo, and these guys are going to go and represent Hutto well. So congrats to you and your coaches on just building these men, and we'll look forward to nenext year. It'll be here before we know it.
I appreciate it.
All right, great season.
Thanks
everybody for tuning in, and boy, stay on top of your social media and find out where the Hippos are going to be next year, what district we'll be in, where we'll be playing, and then start kind of getting your calendar ready for next year's schedule. For Coach, I'm Todd. Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in 2024.